Hi, I'm Ben, and before I dive into my story, please like and subscribe if you're interested in personal growth and overcoming challenges. Now let's get into it. Back in high school, I was not the guy you'd notice first in a room. I was all about my studies, kind of tucked away in the background, not making much noise. My days were a blur of schoolwork, a few close friends, and home life. Pretty routine, really. But there was this one person who stood out to me. Someone who wasn't just background noise. Her name was Natalie. One day, I mustered up the courage to ask Natalie out. I remember that day vividly. The sky was a clear blue, and I had rehearsed what I'd say all morning. But when I finally approached her, palms sweaty, heart racing, she just shook her head and said, "I'm sorry, Ben. I'm not looking to date anyone right now." It stung, not gonna lie. But what stung even more was seeing her the very next week, laughing and holding hands with another guy from our class. That was the slap in the face I didn't know I needed. It wasn't just about a high school crush anymore. It was a wake-up call. I realized that if I kept letting rejections define me, I'd never move forward. So, I decided to focus on myself. I hit the books harder and started hitting the gym. Each rep, each lap, each page turned was a step away from the hurt and towards something better. As the years passed, those choices shaped me. I made friendships that went deeper than just hanging out. They were about supporting each other's ambitions and building each other up. My confidence grew, not just in how I looked, but in who I was. I wasn't the background guy anymore. I was making my mark, and it felt good. Life eventually took me away from my hometown, college, jobs. You know how it goes. But family matters called me back, and there I was, in my mid-20s, back where it all started, but this time with a new perspective. Walking through the old grocery store aisles, I ran into Natalie again. She was a single mom now, still living in town. The surprise in her eyes when she saw me was something else. Could you blame her? The Ben she remembered was not the guy standing in front of her now. "Wow, Ben, you look different," she said, trying not to sound as shocked as she looked. "Yeah, life's been quite a teacher," I replied, keeping it cool but friendly. We made small talk, caught up a bit. It was nice, but I could tell there was something more she wanted to say. However, that had to wait, because right then, all I needed was a pack of eggs and some peace of mind. That's the backdrop of my life, the stage set for new challenges and old faces. Stick around, because this story is just getting started. And trust me, it's going to be a ride. Walking through the store, my mind was preoccupied with a list of to-dos when I heard her call out again. "Ben, are you going to Jenna's party this Saturday? It would be great to catch up more." I paused, eggs in hand. "Natalie, yeah, I was thinking about it. Seems like a good way to see everyone again." Her smile widened. "Perfect. It's been so long since we've all been together." At Jenna's party, the backyard buzzed with our old high school crowd, everyone reminiscing about the glory days. As I made my rounds, the chatter and laughter blending into a familiar soundtrack, Natalie found her way next to me again. "So, Ben, you've really changed. You must tell me your secret." She nudged me playfully, her voice laced with genuine curiosity. "Just took life a bit more seriously, I guess. Started caring about what I eat, how I spend my time, who I spend it with," I added, giving her a pointed look. She chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Sounds like the Ben I remember is still in there somewhere." We continued talking as the party carried on around us. The conversation drifted to her life as a single mom, the challenges and the triumphs. "It's not easy, but my little girl is worth every struggle. You know, it changes your perspective on what's important," Natalie confided, her tone softening. "I can imagine. It's great to see you handling it all so well." As the night drew on, I sensed her trying to steer the conversation towards potentially more personal territory. "You know, Ben, it's been tough, not having someone to share things with. I've been thinking a lot about the past, mistakes I've made, chances I missed." Her gaze held a hint of regret, or maybe it was an opening, but I knew where this was heading. "Natalie, we all have our what-ifs and if-onlys. It's part of growing up, isn't it?" She nodded slowly, her eyes searching mine for something more. "Do you ever think about us? What could have been?" I took a moment, choosing my words carefully. I used to, a lot, but I've learned it's not healthy to dwell on the past too much. We were kids, Natalie. She sighed, a mix of understanding and disappointment mingling in her expression. Yeah, you're right. Just sometimes you wonder, you know? I do, but I also think there's a lot to look forward to. We've both grown so much. As the party wound down and people started saying their goodbyes, Natalie lingered a moment longer with me. Ben, if you ever want to talk or just hang out, let me know. It'd be nice to have a friend who gets it. I appreciate that, Natalie, and same goes for you. Walking back to my car, the cool night air felt refreshing against my thoughts. It was good to reconnect, to see that the past could stay just there, in the past, without any hard feelings. A few days after the party, I got a text from Natalie inviting me for coffee at a quaint little place downtown. It seemed like a good opportunity to catch up more privately, so I agreed. Sitting across from Natalie in the cozy cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the subtle scent of pastries, she seemed more at ease, almost relieved to be away from the larger crowd. So, Ben, she started, stirring her coffee slowly, I've been thinking about the other night, about how easy it was to talk to you. It's rare, you know, to feel that kind of comfort with someone. I nodded, sipping my coffee. Yeah, it was nice catching up. Feels like no time has passed. She smiled, but there was a hesitancy in her eyes. I was wondering, what if we tried going out, just to see if there might be something more for us? The question hung in the air, heavier than the steam rising from our cups. I was taken aback, not expecting this turn in our reconnection. Natalie, I'm flattered, really, but I think I'm in a different place now. My life's changed a lot since high school. Her expression faltered slightly, then she composed herself. Is it because I'm a single mom? Because if it is, I promise, it's not as complicated as it seems. My daughter is amazing, and I manage well. It's not about that, I assured her quickly. You're doing an incredible job, and any guy would be lucky to be part of your life. But for me, it's about where I am personally. I've moved on from a lot of things, including how I used to feel. Natalie looked down, then back up at me, her gaze searching. I get that, Ben. I guess part of me hoped that maybe you still felt something. That maybe there was a reason we reconnected after all this time. I think there is a reason, I said gently. Maybe it's for us to find closure, to be friends who genuinely wish the best for each other. I care about you, Natalie. I do. But not in the way you're hoping. She nodded slowly, the disappointment clear, but her smile returning. I understand, Ben, and I appreciate your honesty. It means a lot that you still care, even if it's not in the way I hoped. We spent the rest of our coffee time talking about other things. Our favorite books lately, the new park that opened up in town, light topics that helped ease the tension. When we parted ways, there was a mutual understanding, a respect that felt mature and real. As I walked away, I felt a sense of peace. It was clear to me now that moving forward was the right path, not just for my personal growth, but for maintaining honest, healthy relationships. That evening, I met up with some friends at our usual spot, a local bar that felt like a second home on most nights. The place had a comforting vibe, with low lighting and soft music playing in the background, creating the perfect atmosphere for deeper conversations. As we settled into our usual table, piled with nachos and surrounded by the familiar buzz of other patrons, Mike noticed my distant gaze and nudged me gently. You've been quiet tonight, Ben. Everything okay? His voice was filled with genuine concern. Taking a deep breath, I decided to open up about my afternoon. I met with Natalie for coffee today. She suggested that maybe we could try dating. Mike's eyebrows shot up, a look of surprise flashing across his face. Wow, Natalie, after all this time? Yeah, I continued, picking at the food absent-mindedly. It caught me off guard. I mean, we've both changed, but it's just not something I feel drawn to anymore. Jess, who had been quietly sipping her drink, chimed in. Isn't it weird how life throws these curveballs? Just when you think you've moved past something, it comes back up. Exactly, I replied, feeling the weight of the situation. She even thought maybe my hesitation was because she's a single mom now, which made me second guess my feelings for a moment. Mike leaned in, his tone serious. But that's not really it, is it? You've moved on, man. It's not about her being a mom. You're right, I acknowledged, feeling reassured by his understanding. It's more about where I'm at in my life. I've changed a lot, and my priorities have shifted. It's not about her circumstances. It's about me respecting my own journey. Jess nodded, her expression thoughtful. It's important to honor that, Ben. If you're not feeling it, then that's all there is to it. You owe it to yourself to be honest, both with Natalie and with yourself. The conversation helped clarify my thoughts. I was grateful for my friend's perspectives, reminding me that it was okay to maintain boundaries and choose paths that aligned with my current values. As the night wore on, we shifted topics, discussing other life updates and plans. Yet, the earlier conversation lingered in my mind, reinforcing my decision. A few days later, while enjoying a quiet evening at home, I reflected on everything that had transpired. It was evident that I had grown in more ways than I could have imagined. Choosing to stay true to my path wasn't just about rejecting a possible romantic entanglement. It was about affirming the life choices I had made. I realized then how crucial it was to stay connected to who I was becoming, not just who I had been. My conversation with Natalie, though initially unsettling, ultimately reaffirmed my commitment to my personal growth. It wasn't merely about saying no to her. It was about saying yes to the future I was actively building. Embracing this realization, I felt a profound sense of peace. It was clear that my journey was mine to shape, influenced by past experiences, but driven by my present self-awareness and future aspirations. This clarity was empowering, a testament to the personal development I had prioritized and the life I was determined to lead. A few months had passed since my conversation with Natalie, and life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. My career was progressing well, I was exploring new hobbies, and my social circle was as strong as ever. Each day felt like a step forward, reinforcing the decisions I had made. One crisp Saturday morning, while at the local farmer's market buying fresh produce for the week, I spotted Natalie across the crowd. She was with her daughter, both laughing as they picked out flowers. Watching them, a sense of peace washed over me. It was clear she was thriving too, and seeing her happy brought me a genuine sense of joy. As I approached, Natalie looked up and caught my eye. Her smile was warm, welcoming. "Ben, it's been a while. How have you been?" she greeted me, her tone friendly and open. "Doing really well, thanks. How about you two? Seems like you're enjoying the market," I replied, nodding towards the bouquet in her hands. "We are. It's our little Saturday ritual. Gets us out of the house and into some nature, even if it's just potted plants and flower stands," she laughed, her daughter clinging shyly to her leg. "That sounds perfect. It's important to find those little moments," I said, feeling a connection to their routine. "I've been finding my own little rituals too. Helps to keep things in perspective." "Absolutely," Natalie agreed, then paused, looking at me earnestly. "I wanted to say, Ben, I've been thinking about our last coffee meetup. I'm really glad we had that talk. It helped me a lot, more than you know." "I'm glad to hear that, Natalie. It meant a lot to me too. I think it helped us move forward, in the right way," I responded, the mutual respect between us palpable. Her daughter tugged at her hand, pointing at a nearby stall with homemade jams. Natalie smiled down at her, then looked back at me. "We better get our jam before they run out. But let's not let another few months pass before we catch up again, okay?" "Sounds good to me. Enjoy your weekend," I said, waving them off as they walked away. As I continued on my way, the morning sun breaking through the leaves, I felt a profound sense of contentment. My choices, my growth, and the respect I had for my past, all of it had brought me here, to this moment of peace. Life was about these new beginnings, about respecting where you came from, but not being bound by it. As I selected a bunch of fresh basil, the scent sharp and invigorating, I knew that embracing the present and looking forward to the future was exactly where I needed to be. One crisp Saturday morning, while at the local farmer's market buying fresh produce for the week, I spotted Natalie across the crowd. She was with her daughter, both laughing as they picked out flowers. Watching them, a sense of peace washed over me. It was clear she was thriving too, and seeing her happy brought me a genuine sense of joy. As I approached, Natalie looked up and caught my eye. Her smile was warm, welcoming. "Ben, it's been a while. How have you been?" she greeted me, her tone friendly and open. "Doing really well, thanks. How about you two? Seems like you're enjoying the market," I replied, nodding towards the bouquet in her hands. "We are. It's our little Saturday ritual. Gets us out of the house and into some nature, even if it's just potted plants and flower stands," she laughed, her daughter clinging shyly to her leg. "That sounds perfect. It's important to find those little moments," I said, feeling a connection to their routine. "I've been finding my own little rituals too. Helps to keep things in perspective." "Absolutely," Natalie agreed, then paused, looking at me earnestly. "I wanted to say, Ben, I've been thinking about our last coffee meetup. I'm really glad we had that talk. It helped me a lot, more than you know." "I'm glad to hear that, Natalie. It meant a lot to me too. I think it helped us move forward, in the right way," I responded, the mutual respect between us palpable. Her daughter tugged at her hand, pointing at a nearby stall with homemade jams. Natalie smiled down at her, then looked back at me. "We better get our jam before they run out. But let's not let another few months pass before we catch up again, okay?" "Sounds good to me. Enjoy your weekend," I said, waving them off as they walked away. As I continued on my way, the morning sun breaking through the leaves, I felt a profound sense of contentment. My choices, my growth, and the respect I had for my past, all of it had brought me here, to this moment of peace. Life was about these new beginnings, about respecting where you came from, but not being bound by it. As I selected a bunch of fresh basil, the scent sharp and invigorating, I knew that embracing the present and looking forward to the future was exactly where I needed to be. Now that our story has reached its conclusion, I've got a question that I think will spark some interesting discussions. Do you believe that personal growth should always come before rekindling old relationships? Or are there circumstances where giving a past connection another chance can lead to significant personal development? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and the conversation it started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support helps us keep these stories coming.